got a little, it's like this,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
No, because
And you gotta show your, card, or how you
You
think
hit
here,
this 3 times.
and your picture.
You have to get government ID, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's good.
We're good.
And then they want to pick 3 stages.
Okay, so 6.1 on our agenda is Minister of Infrastructure, and Deepak, I'm going to ask you to speak to that one. I kind of know a little bit about it, but I think you've probably read it at least a couple of times.
This is related to routes, trades and commerce routes that were identified by Manitoba Infrastructure. They were requesting feedback. We received this late. They've already identified they'd like to have feedback as of last Friday. We can certainly look at providing some feedback, but it's very difficult to sort of determine what the implications are on the implementations of many of these routes and the designations of these roads. Now, I know that there is some concern about, from one of our residents, about possibly is that going to have an impact on the use of those roads for commerce and what that means. But at this point, I haven't been able to discern what, if anything, we could really comment on this because we weren't really involved in the overall process. And I've looked it over. It doesn't seem like we could make any kind of meaningful input other than thank you for giving us the opportunity to review it in advance.
Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
this may sound really simplistic, but boy, it'd be nice to see a map that says, okay, here's our, these are the primary roads. Like, it doesn't say anything about that in this. Like, we have no idea what, like our, like I assume 59 is one, like I assume.
Yes.
59 highway is a problem. There's no shoulders on it, from where they come off, where the 4-lane goes, from there, all the way to where they paved it up past Gull Lake. That road is bad and it's dangerous. I know there's a lot of accidents there, lost lives at Patricia Beach corner and at the other corner, and there's no shoulders on that road. If you pull over on that shoulder, if you're in a bigger vehicle, you'll flip over and go in the ditch. It's really bad, really, really bad.
So
It's
that's-
dangerous.
The only comment I had was, like, provide us with what's the plan? Like, we know that this is the feedback. And it looks like, for the most part, everybody kind of agrees with, that did have feedback, agrees with what they're suggesting. But we haven't really seen what the plan is in our area.
Certainly, I could send a little letter stating, inquiring, would like to see maps and implications.
Yeah, kind of thank them for the information and ask them, or even say, like, if maps were provided, it might have been better for us to comment on some of these things that you proposed. So, yeah, if you could do that, that'd be great, Deepak, thank you. Okay, so Deepak will write a letter on that one. The next one is the Selkirk District Community Foundation. Just so you know, Thursday, September 30th, the date that is in this letter for our nominating committee is not happening because that is the Truth and Reconciliation Day, and everything in the province will be closed, including the municipalities in most areas, I believe. So I guess what they were looking for is nominations, and I will talk a little bit more about it in camera because there was a name put forward, so I would like to talk to council before we actually pass a resolution, or not pass a resolution, contact this person regarding an appointment to the board, so.
Okay, so we'll come back to this, Madam Mayor.
Please.
Okay, 6.3.
Citizen of the Year nominations, and I believe that we did have a couple of names come forward here. Again, I think we'll have to get a hold if there are any other names have to submit a bio or their work, and I guess we did have a couple of names. We had one from the Stony Point or Patricia Beach Community Club, and then we also talked about one of the members from the South St. Clements Activity Center Committee. So maybe that's another one that we'll have to come back to.
The other is the Eastern Regional Health Authority. It's for participation on their advisory council.
Right, and I'm not sure if anybody else did want to participate. They are still taking names, so I guess the long and short of it is, if you haven't submitted your name and you would like to sit on one of those committees, there is an application form, and you can just submit your name. Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
I think this committee, though, they want an appointment from council,
Correct.
and I'm willing to sit on it if you feel it fit.
Okay, that would be good, because I know that there are some of those steering committees that they're having a little bit of trouble getting people to sit on. I know some of them have more than enough, but some have not enough. So if you want to put your name forward, would it matter which committee, or you have no preference at this
The
point?
Health Advisory Council,
Health.
because this one is supposed to be the committee that, I guess, comments on whether they're following the strategic plan.
So which
That's-
goal is that, Scott? I'm sorry, I'm kind of, you lost me.
Okay. There's a number of,
Yeah, there's
Okay.
6 of them.
well, there's 6 and then there's one more.
Okay,
And the other one, because if you look at the first attachment, it talks about, see terms of reference for the Health Advisory Council, and if you're part of an eligible member organization for the council, please communicate and send by. And this council meets quarterly, which is similar to what we
oh,
were
I see
on
where you are
before.
now. Yeah,
And it's for development, it leads the development, implementation, and review of the strategic plan. And
Yeah.
then there's the 6
right,
steering
okay,
committees.
I'm on the same page as you now,
Yeah.
so, if we have a resolution prepared for that, that would be good, and it's the Regional Health Advisory Council is the one that you are interested in sitting on.
I can just read off a resolution, Madam Mayor.
Sure,
Resolved that Councillor Scott Spicer be appointed by council as a representative for the Regional Health Advisory Council.
okay, can I have a mover, please? Councillor Sutherland, Councillor Strang, seconds, any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question, all those in favor, opposed, and that is carried.
And just one further thing, I think the
Sure.
first meeting's in October,
Yeah,
so I'll inquire to see if there's still room in any of those other 6, and I'll bring it back.
yeah, there is, because I got a letter the other day, like through the health board. I think they were still looking for people for 1, 2, and 6. Like the Indigenous and mental health always fills up really quickly. There's lots of people interested in those 2 things, but I think it was 1, 2, and 6 that they were still looking for people for.
Good.
But I will have a quick peek, but we can move on here.
Thanks.
Okay, so the next item is the RM of Alexander and the zebra mussel infestation. And I think that was more for information than anything.
They have passed a resolution, Madam Mayor, and requested if there's anyone else. We have prepared a similar resolution, if council wishes to pass it, for the protection of Lake Winnipeg and the beaches.
Well, I think we should, go ahead, Councillor.
Have we not passed one already? Or am I just dreaming?
Not specifically related to zebra
Okay.
mussels.
Go ahead.
I think this is just pertaining more to the solution, to find a solution to clean up the beaches, I think, eh?
Correct.
Because the infestation, as far as Lake Winnipeg, there's really no solution to that as we know. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so if we have a resolution to forward on, if we can have it read and then we'll move it forward.
Whereas zebra mussels are not only having a very significant and negative impact on the condition of Lake Winnipeg, but also a serious impediment to the recreational users' enjoyment and detrimental to all other stakeholders. And whereas zebra mussels continue to accumulate extensively on shorelines and beaches along Lake Winnipeg. And whereas there does not appear to be a federal or provincial plan in place to mitigate the reproduction of zebra mussels and the deleterious effect they have on Lake Winnipeg. And therefore be it resolved that the rural municipality of St. Clements Council joins the arm of Victoria Beach in urging the Association of Manitoba Municipalities to lobby the 2 levels of senior government to implement a plan of action to proactively deal with zebra mussel infestation in Lake Winnipeg.
Moved by Councillor Horvis, second by Councillor Bazarowitz. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried.
Just,
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
Mark, is there, have you, anybody heard anything, like, are they getting a hang on this or hold of this? Is it moving, like, I know everybody's trying to slow it down and keep it out of, like, Gull Lake and stuff, but are they making any headway at all?
I have no idea, but Councillor Spicer has his hand up, so maybe he can enlighten all of us.
I went out to Saskatchewan last week and there's a great big sign there about needing to wash your boats, and they have one set up, nothing about cold. So, I mean, I think it's awareness. I don't think there's an answer.
It's a concern.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't heard of anything, there's been nothing come from the province, and last I heard, there was only the one gal that was working on the zebra mussel program and things like that. So where it's at, I really don't have any idea, and I think probably part of it is COVID took over and nothing else, or there's a lot of things that are kind of on the back burner now. Go ahead, Glenn.
Seeing as we're coming into heavy fishing season, I wonder if that girl would want to come and do your speaker.
Nicole?
Yeah, she's been out before.
Yeah, yeah. Would be an idea.
If you're just looking at this office.
Go ahead, Councillor Sutherland.
Were they detected in Lake Manitoba?
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
something that blurred not that long ago that they were in Lake Manitoba now.
You know, funny thing, I know they're still in Lake Winnipeg, and they always will be. But last year, you would go along the beaches and you could pick them up with a shovel. And this year, it actually smelled when you go down to the beach. And this year at Hecla, there was nothing. Even along the docks, when the water was up and down, they were just caked on the steel pilings. And not
You don't see
Not
that
half
many
as bad.
You don't see that many, we were at the beach, remember we were
Yeah,
looking along at the
yeah.
dock there, You don't see even in front of my place, and I've been up at that other place.
Yeah,
I don't see
okay.
much.
So your place is, I just find it strange, they're here, but I just find it strange that,
You don't see them like you did
oh,
last, the year before.
the docks, the
Well, I-
pilings,
Yeah,
and the shores, they actually, the fresh ones that were still rotting, it smelled on the beaches.
yeah. And I haven't heard anything about Grand Beach Provincial Park because they were kind of raking them in the park and
Yeah.
kind of piling them up. I haven't heard anything, but yeah, I have a couple of pictures from 2016, I think I just saw, that they're just like, it's like a windrow on the beach
Yes.
that they washed up, so.
But that's not to say they're still here.
They're there,
They're
but
gonna be
it's
here
just,
for
I don't know,
forever.
maybe it's the weather, I don't
I don't
know.
know, yeah, I'm
You
just
know,
curious as to
Hot,
why.
hot, dry weather, I don't know.
I don't know what it is this year, but the lake looks a lot cleaner, like the water in it. I haven't seen it this clean, I can't remember when.
Well,
That's one of the byproducts of
Yeah.
sewer
yeah,
houses.
that's what I was gonna say.
Advantages, yeah.
No, I'm just saying, I mean, there's a give and take.
They do
here.
filter the water. too.
Yeah.
It is.
Glenn and then Dave
Yeah, just
Sutherland.
elaborate on that, just, the end result of this is, yeah, that they eat all the algae and they eat all the nutrient material,
Fish.
and it's gonna kill off all the fish population. If you go down to the Red River right now, you can see what they're doing. It is
It's
just,
amazing.
yeah, I'd like a good 3 feet, you'll see down the property line.
Well, I wish we had
Which is
some water in the
strange.
creek.
Yeah.
There's hardly any water in the creek with these south winds. It blows all the water out and I don't know, the creek is just awful looking this year.
Wash your boat, put your boat in there.
Can't even get there, can walk across, never mind put a boat in. Okay, so we passed the resolution on the zebra mussel, so let us continue on. We are at 6.6, and that's the declaration of development scheme for one of our developers in the municipality. And Deepak or Heather, do you want to tell us a little bit more about this? Like, we don't have very many of these.
Yes, Madam Mayor, this was brought back from last meeting. The development scheme is at the request of the developer who's wanting to put some development standards on the requirements on the properties they're selling. One of the items was that they were responsible for their own septic fields as well as wells. And it was identified at council at that point that we should ask them to make a change in that development agreement that if and when sewer or water services do become available, that the property owners are in fact required to hook up. And that change was made. It's in number 9.
Okay,
And, as part of that, we're bringing it back for approval.
okay, thank you for that. Glenn?
Okay, I have a bit of a problem with that, like, okay, if you're doing a new build and the service is available, yes, but if you've already bought the lot and established the lot, spent your $40,000 or $50,000 on sewer and, or septic field and water, you're still gonna require them to decommission something that's only like a year or 2 old and hook up?
Our requirements at this point per our bylaw is that when water services or sewer services are made available, you're required to hook up within 1 year.
It's gonna be a tough sell, like you said, once.
Well, and I guess that's what we say, but I always remember Danko Drive, Old River Road for the sewer part of it. We said a certain time, but the legislation from the province says they have 5 years to hook up.
Correct. The
So-
legislation said that,
Yeah,
but it doesn't apply to water.
right,
It does apply, and they did apply it to the sewer, and we followed through as part of the legislation. But the intent here was that these lots, the possibility of getting sewer and water may be many, many years away yet.
right.
But the intent was that as the development agreement sits with the land forever, to make sure that all future property owners are aware. There's an anticipation, yeah, there may be maybe a year, but I think it's more likely that these things will be there. These properties will be developed well before sewer and water come in. It's just that when it does, they should be required, like anyone else. Otherwise, they'd be relying on a development agreement saying, I don't have to hook up.
Right, and I guess I would have to agree that probably in this particular case, sewer and water may not be up there for a number of years, so. Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
I'm gonna test our CAO's memory.
Okay, on.
So these are 2-acre lots, you remember?
Correct.
Okay. I'm just looking at number 11. So if water and sewer comes in there, you can't re-subdivide later on.
Yeah, it says it there.
But I guess if they're only 2 acre lots,
Well, we have allowed half-acre lots in Silva.
well, that and, I mean, it's a little different situation than the 4 acre lots where somebody built on one side and then,
Correct.
yeah, so.
And so what they were doing was protecting that 2 acre lot because of the septic
Yeah.
fields and so forth.
Right.
The situation here is, it is a development agreement. The part, something like that can always be renegotiated at that point.
Yeah, but
It was just to be,
once again, a long ways away,
Yes.
likely.
Probably, yes, and, you know, and I don't know if any of those lots in this particular subdivision have been sold, so, or if it, is the plan registered, Heather, do you know?
Probably not if we're working on this.
No, the plan would have been, because that's why we're kind of.
Doing
it's a
this,
mess,
okay,
so
because it's, okay, so, yeah, so I doubt if any of the lots are sold, and, I mean, the location of this one, I don't know if people would want to be any
That's
smaller than 2 acres. I mean, it's more of
Yeah.
a rural setting and not so much of a, I don't know what the right word is, but it's not so much of a community setting, I'm gonna say. Okay, so if we have a resolution, please.
sorry, Madam Mayor, here we go.
That's okay.
Resolve the declaration of development scheme for subdivision S16-2662 Dichinski be accepted as presented, and the mayor and CAO be authorized to sign and seal same.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Spicer, Councillor Gazarower, second. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, 6.7 is from Municipal Relations regarding National Concussion Awareness Week. Oh,
I just want to make a comment.
oh,
Talking about
sorry.
developers,
Yes,
if anybody gets a chance, the developer on Ferry Road, he's on the second phase. Last week, they asphalted the whole thing, beautiful.
the
The
road.
cul-de-sac, and wide, like it's just, that guy, he just does an amazing job, you know, the way he moves
Yeah,
forward.
yeah.
I'm a little surprised as to why they would put the asphalt before they built the houses at the back. I'm really surprised at that, because you're gonna have a lot of heavy traffic in there. That part escapes me, I don't get it, because it looks, I'm telling you, this road, it's so wide for a
I was in there last week, like down Ferry
Did you-
Road, but it
yeah.
wasn't paved yet. It was, they were still working on the cul-de-sac when I was there
It's
the
all
other day.
finished now,
Wow.
beautiful. But
Yeah,
I
and there's
just,
this, and the 6 new houses are there. All the 6 houses,
In the
all the
front,
6
yeah.
lots
In the
that he
front,
had on
not
Ferry
Ferry.
Road are all built on.
but now the cul-de-sac is in for the back lots,
Yeah,
and there's no builds there, which I'm sure there will be, I know that, but I just don't understand why they,
He wants to get out of his development agreement and move on to the next development, that's
Yeah.
probably why.
That's
I
exactly.
mean, I commend them for putting the asphalt in, and they do a wonderful job, like the drainage and everything. you see.
yeah.
But I just thought they would have waited until the houses were in. Hopefully the road won't get screwed up, but it's a good possibility.
If it does, there'll be the inspection before the sign off.
Yeah, well, I know it'll get fixed up, but it's just a shame to,
We have the long grade deposit, but I understand what you're saying, because usually those trucks help
Those are the houses down
yeah. then you-
make the road good and hard, right?
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
So, I mean, sure, the road will get patched after, but it's just, for a new road, it looks beautiful. You know, I'd like to see it says, you know,
there. I
save
didn't
it.
think they were so bad.
Yeah, I can't wait for him to start on that, sorry,
That's
on
okay.
the development that he bought
Across
from
the way.
Dryden.
Yeah, yeah.
He sure does a good job.
He does a very good job,
Yeah.
so. Anything
Sorry
else?
about that.
That's okay, that's okay. We'll go back to number 6.7 unless you have
Thank you.
another comment.
Thank you, Counselor. I think one of the other, there was a question about whether that road was going to be asphalted. when we had signed off on the development agreement on it. So thank you for at least clarifying clearly that it is going to be asphalt.
Yeah, it looks beautiful, but I think they should have waited. That's all.
Well, and I think it was mentioned the other day, I think Deepak had mentioned it to me, seeing as we're kind of talking about development, the lots across the way here are all sold.
Yes.
Which ones?
Wait,
Clifford's?
wait, so?
Apparently, all in this first phase have been sold, and my understanding is even some have been moved to the second phase because they weren't ready to build in time. So he held off on the sale, selling it to someone else because I think he's ready to move to the next phase probably. Now, this is just what I've heard as rumor.
Good, for him.
Okay, so
How much are those lots? 60 grand?
No, I think they're more than that.
80 or 90.
Triple that, or double it for sure.
$120,000
I-
for one
I-
of those lots?
I could be wrong, but I'm sure it's around there.
Well, they have water and sewer, do they not?
Correct.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
do,
so,
Okay.
yeah. As do the ones on Ferry Road.
Yeah.
They have water and sewer too, so. Okay. 6.7, municipal relations, National Concussion Awareness Week, 2021.
We have prepared a motion for this. We were requesting to see if council wanted to declare September 26th to October 2nd as Concussion Awareness Week.
Sure. So read the resolution and we'll see where it goes.
Whereas sports and recreation are vital to the health, wellness, and development of youth in the Arm of St. Clements, participation in these activities also comes with a level of risk. And whereas concussion is a significant issue in the Arm of St. Clements, young people are overrepresented in sport and recreation-related concussions. And whereas Concussion Awareness Week is a week dedicated to raising awareness and seeking solutions to prevent, recognize, and manage sport and recreation-related concussions in the Arm of St. Clements, everyone has a role to play in creating change among their peers, in their sport organization, and in their communities. Therefore, be it resolved, the Council of the Arm of St. Clements do hereby proclaim September 26th to October 2nd, 2021 as Concussion Awareness Week.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Spicer, Councillor Sutherland seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. 6.8, Interlake Municipal Rec Association. Nomination form for a, can't remember what it's called.
Builder Award.
Builder Award, Recreation Builder Award. So I think this is, Brenna has put this name forward, so I'm not sure if we want to talk about that when we talk about the Citizen of the Year and the other nominations that we're going to have. I have no problem putting this name forward, but I'm wondering if there is anybody else that we could put forward. I know a few years ago we had put Tim Edwards' name forward, and he did, I guess that was the last time they had an in-person event, because it was in East St. Paul. And he did get an award, but I can also tell you that it was, the banquet and everything was supposed to be next month. Now we're not sure when we're having it. I just got a note the other day that the meeting that we were supposed to have on Thursday has been canceled, and Ian is going to see what he can figure out for us as to when the next meeting will be. So, and Sandra, you got that, did you?
Yes, I
from
got it.
Ian? Okay,
Thank you.
yeah. So we can come back to that one too, if that's all right with council. Okay, 6.9.
This is a request for a resident to use RM land in order to have a wedding. And what they're looking at is having a large event, and then need to be on RM land. It's right beside their property. The biggest issue, as we've investigated, would be the liability, and that they would have to get some level of liability insurance and or sign a waiver. And we requested that they sign a waiver as they move forward, and could have that event on the property at 11 Park Drive.
questions, comments? Go ahead, Councillor Bazarowicz.
When I used to host these events and that, what I would do is get a certificate of insurance, I think. That sounds right. And they would just go under mine, they would go under the RM's.
They cannot go under as a private event under the RM, we've checked with our insurer.
Okay.
And so the only opportunity here is that they just waive any liability on part of the RM in case something happens. They take that level of responsibility.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
Just wondering if we shouldn't have a part of the resolution that they leave the property in the way that it was found before they used it.
It's a very good point.
Yeah.
So they have to clean up after themselves and not damage trees and other things.
And I guess the question I would have is, it looks as if they have 3 different proposals there. Are we going to limit them to which one they should be using, or does it make a difference to us?
I don't think it makes a difference as long as we give them the authority. We've told them they need to get all appropriate permits from Red River Planning,
Okay,
camps and so forth.
great, okay. No, it's just the one, I'm going back to the letter from them.
I think the number 1 was right behind the property, wasn't it? Or
Well,
did
number
I
one-
read that wrong?
Well, to me, number 1, they're almost on the lake.
Yeah, you're right.
I think their property, I think, Deepak, you said number 18?
I thought it was 11.
Okay.
For all of us here, we voted against this.
Is there any concern with any particular options or?
No, not really, just like number 1 looks like they're almost right on the lake shore.
Yeah,
And the other
you're right.
2 are closer to their property, I'm assuming.
Correct. I think they wanted to be able to see the sunsets.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't-
because after they get married, there won't be any
Where it's the first step of sunset.
Yeah.
So if we have a resolution, can we please read the resolution?
Sure. Whereas Chanel Loveland has made a request to utilize municipal property known as 11 Park Drive for a wedding on August 6th, 2022, and therefore be it resolved, council authorized Chanel Loveland to host her wedding event on said municipal property. Further be it resolved, or sorry, let me come back, I think Heather has updated this. Further be it resolved, Chanel Loveland provide proof of insurance coverage or sign a basic waiver of liability acknowledging that the municipality is not liable for any damages caused by the use of the land. And further be it resolved, the property be left in the same state of condition as prior to the event. And further be it resolved that the property owner must obtain all required permits from Red River Planning District if there is intent to erect it.
Go ahead, Councillor Horbis.
So will we have to send somebody out there to check that property before they go on it? Like as Councillor Spicer said, then how do we know what state it is after? And then are they gonna come back and say, well, that's what it was like there before? So we're basically gonna have to send somebody out there to look at it before they,
Snap some pictures, yeah.
or do something, you know, really, I mean, right?
We could have our bylaw officer go by at any point in time when he's in that area, since it's a
Yeah.
at least a year away.
Yeah,
And then they will also be there would be an inspection from Red River Planning for the tent.
okay.
So that will probably give us the best indication. We could also request Red River Planning to take some pictures during that period of time so that we can use those if necessary.
Yeah, and when you started reading the resolution, I thought, August the 6th, that's passed, and then I realized it's August the 6th of next year, so they're really doing things ahead of time, so.
Yeah, I should choose with it, maybe it's smart.
Okay, so the resolution was read, can I have a mover, please? Counselor Horbus, second, Counselor Spicer, discussion. Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question, all those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. Okay, so we are down to number 7 on our agenda, and that is the closed list of accounts. If I could have the resolution, please.
Resolved, council approved the September 14th, 2021 list of accounts, check numbers 21002001 to 21002156 in the amount of $841,644.06 for payment.
Can I have a mover, please? Counselor Sutherland, second, Counselor Spicer. Comments, questions, queries?
I think Councillor Spicer had a couple of questions on a couple of amounts, a couple of checks, so I can answer those if you like, Councillor Spicer.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, the first was the Arlen Alexander, that was related with it's related with one of the checks for $525, and that's directly related with the Alexander booklet. So it was a resolution of council, so it just, on the check, it seemed like it was for something else, but it's really the booklet which council had given authority for us to do. The other was a significant check of $46,000 to Terramont, and there was some Toromont, so as to what were these costs. One of those was related with a door for a grader that had to be, that was an accident by one of the employees that's been on file. They were lifting up, the door was open when they lifted up the blade, and they said they needed the door open because they couldn't hear the person giving them direction, and then the blade hit the door, and that needed some, and that was about a $6,000 cost, but the majority of the expense of that check to Toromont was related with our compactor. And our compactor at the landfill site needed some maintenance. We had originally identified it in the $20-some thousand range, and it was part of our regular maintenance. That has come up significantly higher, and would have been even higher than that. But the Public Works manager made the decision to do the immediate repairs for the moment, and those repairs included work on the transmission and some other areas of that compactor, which is nearing its life, and it is a very significant expense for the future, and this should get us through for the next little while. The one thing that the Public Works manager did assure me of, which I remembered after I saw the email from previously, that his other maintenance expenses have been lower this year, and so he should be able to absorb it within our existing budgets.
Okay, anybody else have anything? Go ahead, Glenn.
So do we have anything put, you said it's going to be, it's near the end of its life, significant cost on that. Do we have a fund put away for replacement?
That's part of our equipment replacement reserve, and it'll be part of that, and we'd have to take a look at the timing and bring it forward. As we are working on 3-year budgets, I have informed all managers that anything new has to be put at the tail end of any of these, so that we don't see any significant fluctuations in our budget planning. Of course, if it's an emergency, we bring that forward to council with some opportunities of how we may plan to address it.
Councillor Fortis?
So then, this cost for that piece of equipment, does that fall under all the other equipment, or does that fall under the landfill site? Operating costs of that, is that part of that, or does it just fall under public works, general public works? or-
Public Works has a budget, generally speaking, for equipment maintenance, and that's where it would go, that's where the budget would be used to pay for this. As to how it gets distributed through our accounts, it'll be associated to the landfill site.
Okay.
I've got one that I just noticed. There is a check here for Beconia Shop addition.
Correct.
What did they do there?
The Beconia shop was, the lunchroom was needed work on, it was identified in the 2021 budget
Okay,
for that, and that's what that addition is for, to expand the lunchroom area.
but that must just be drawings or something, because it's under 2,000 bucks.
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
It's, we had budgeted somewhere around $20,000 to do that work.
I kind of remember talking about it, but I couldn't remember the details, so. Anybody have anything else? Okay, I believe I had a mover and a seconder. There are no further questions. I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, next is the province of Manitoba, taxes added to the roll. And we have quite a few taxes added to the roll there. So if I could have the resolution for those, please.
Whereas the additions and cancellations date September 3rd, 2021, prepared by the Province of Manitoba Assessment Services Department, municipal relations are to be added to the tax rolls, and whereas under authority of Section 326 of the Municipal Act, a municipality may impose supplemental taxes for that year or part of that year stated in the list in respect to the said lands, personal property, or business. Therefore, be it resolved, the list of additions and cancellations dated September 3rd, 2021 be adopted, and the Chief Administration Officer be instructed to calculate and enter same in the 2021 tax rolls where applicable to the 2020 tax rolls.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Spicer, Councillor Bazarowicz seconds. Any discussion? Go ahead, Councillor Bazarowicz.
Is this like, new subdivisions and stuff, is that what that would be?
It's gotta be, because all those roll numbers kind of follow each other.
Yes.
That,
Usually new subdivisions or new property rolls that are coming in. There could be construction, new buildings being put on as well.
Okay.
Yeah, see, at
I
one
thought
time
you said
we used to
this
get a
was-
different type of a listing. We used to get the listing from assessment branch rather than just all the roll numbers.
We have that listing, but we can't put that on the agenda.
so
Like,
private.
we can't put that full listing on. Is
There's
that
a
the
privacy.
names?
Oh, okay, well, see, at one time it didn't have the names. It just had the roll number and whether it was
Oh, yeah,
like what it
this-
was.
This has everything.
Okay,
That one.
yeah, see, that would make it actually easier for us to
Yes.
decide, you know, like, we wouldn't have to ask that question. We could see that it's a whole new subdivision being put in there, so.
Yeah, some could be land and some could be buildings.
That's right, yeah, yeah, so. Okay, we read the resolution, had a
Yes.
mover and a seconder. Any further questions?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Houses that were built, whether it was sewer and water, I can't remember, was it the tax breaks? Was it 1 year?
No, it's
Two?
two.
Up to two,
Was it two? Okay, I was not, wait.
but they have to apply.
Yes, they have to apply.
So, do we remind these people, or do we just,
I believe.
they don't
the way-
know about it, if they don't know?
Heather has the
Heather has
answer.
the answer to
Okay,
that
thank you.
question.
The bylaw and application goes out with lot grade applications.
Okay, thank
So
you.
they're made aware when they apply for their lot grade, they get that information, and then it's up to them to apply. If they so choose not to, then we don't chase it any further than that.
That's
Okay.
correct.
So how does that work? If I buy a piece of property, okay,
Mhm.
and then, okay, I have that property for 5 years, then I come in and I buy a permit, right, to build.
Mhm.
I have 2 years from that date, or from the date I buy the property?
from the date after substantial completion or occupancy.
Okay, so if I build within the 2 years and I'm done, I get 2 years free taxes?
If you
No,
build,
not free.
Pardon me?
if you build, you get 2 years of free taxes. I don't think there's a stipulation as to the amount of.
Okay, so I could own a piece of property for 10 years, and then,
The building portion,
The building itself has to be completed.
building portion of the taxes, not the land portion.
Right.
Uh,
You'll still,
Not the way I'm reading that bylaw, the way it was written.
Both portions? We'll have to look.
okay, just so I'm clear here again,
But
sorry.
we'll make it clear, look at the bylaw.
But
Oh,
no,
no,
what
no,
they,
but I just
no,
want to
what-
know for, I'm sorry.
that's okay, no, but what you're asking is if you buy a piece of property this year and you don't do anything with it for 5 years and then you build your home, are you still eligible? And I'm
Yes.
saying yes,
Okay,
As long as the bylaw's in effect.
that's right.
Like,
and then, to get that benefit, I have to, from the day I buy my permit to the day I'm finished, only 2 years. If I go 3 years, I'm not eligible. Is that correct? Is that how it works?
I
No,
think
if
so.
you
Yeah.
I think there's a time limit on how long
Okay.
it takes.
Yeah, I think 3 years. Or why do we even have it then? Anybody could just build and get 2 years free taxes. Right?
Okay, Heather will get some clarification and we'll probably can talk about it.
And that might be a
later.
bylaw you may want to reconsider, because the way I read it, it was stating that it just said taxes forgiven,
Mhm.
and I would say it would be the building portion, not necessarily the land portion. Otherwise,
You might want to take
Yeah.
a look at that.
Yeah, and
Because the land is there anyway.
and
So,
Heather, we haven't had that many people apply for that at this point in
I
time.
believe right now she has 2 that have come in.
Okay,
That's it.
okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, so there's not a lot of uptake, so maybe that's one of the bylaws that maybe we should have a little review of, and if the wording is not clear, then maybe it should be made a little bit more clear for us and the residents or ratepayers that are planning on building in our municipality, so. Councillor Sutherland, did you have something else you wanted to say?
I think it's been answered, but, yeah, so you're still gonna pay land taxes on that property, so you have it for 5 years.
Right.
You're gonna pay taxes on that.
Yes, the
For five, until you
rebate
build.
doesn't kick in until you're finished your house.
Yes, okay.
So you can, as Councillor Horvath said, you can sit on that property for 10 years and not do anything with it, but you're gonna pay the land taxes
Yes,
all along.
okay, that's,
I
Yeah,
think,
No, I realize.
yeah,
and it was only for serviced areas.
right.
right.
Okay,
Yeah.
where there's water and sewer. Or just
Or-
one or the other.
water,
I think it's
water-
one
one
or
or
the
the
other,
water,
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
water and or sewer.
So
There's
the
no
last year,
sunset.
we've had a significant growth, so we may want to make sure that we're clear on this bylaw.
Right. Sandra?
No, I'm just, you guys
Oh,
are
okay.
discussing, that's what I wanted to know, the services, just clarification.
We'll bring it back for the next meeting for clarification.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so, did we get a mover and a seconder for the supplemental taxes, Heather? Yes? Okay, thank you. Number 8, we have no bylaws today.
We didn't vote yet.
Pardon me? Oh, we didn't vote? Oh, okay. I had a mover and I had a seconder for the supplemental taxes. If there are no further questions, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, moving on. Try again. Number 8, bylaws. We have no bylaws today. Number 9, communications for information. And I don't have really anything that I want to touch on here. I guess there's the book. Let's start at the beginning. Is there anything else that anybody else has that they want to comment on? I've just got a couple here. One of them being 9.2.2, and that was the letter from the Premier, just thanking us for being as good as we are. And
I thought it was just thanking the mayor.
no, no, that is not just for the mayor, that is for everyone sitting on this council.
I don't know, seemed like just.
Sorry?
9.2.2.
That's everybody, because he phoned me the other day. So it's all of us.
And I guess the Art of Alexander, the celebrating 75 years book. And I thought there were some good clues in there, like there were some good stories in there. I really didn't read a lot of it, but glanced through it. Anything else, Deepak, that you?
9.6.1, Madam Mayor, I'd like to just bring your attention to it. We did receive a letter on ATV concerns. This is several times that we've received letters on this. I just wanted to clarify for council that we have received this. We've identified that there are ongoing concerns with ATVs going on farmers' fields, and clarified that it is an RCMP matter, not something we can manage, but we have made every attempt to be able to communicate this through our website, through our newsletters, and other ways to let people know that it's unacceptable to be riding ATVs on farmers' fields just because they seem like they're open.
I got a call this weekend too in the beaches area, and it's getting worse there, it's bad there. And I told them, I said, it's really not a municipal problem, it's the RCMP, you have to get a hold of them, you know, try and get the license plate number of the RV or whatever.
I think the other thing is that if you mentioned it to Tyler, or have Deepak mention it to Tyler, he can, not that he may not be out there on the weekend to do additional patrols, but he can have PBLE go out there and just do a couple of extra patrols, just to show a presence in the area, and that sometimes is enough to keep people off the roads, so.
I don't know, they seem to be getting braver and braver, nothing really seems to phase them. You see them, you see small children, and smaller ones going out with, and they're driving, and following them, and that's a big no-no.
Yeah. Okay, Councillor Strain, you had your hand up.
We have the problem down in the south too, riding on the roads and smaller children or with mini bikes and that. But is there maybe we can have, because it was really great when we can have the RCMP forum, and I know that they aren't getting together, but maybe we should have a Zoom one that we can invite our residents and do a Zoom meeting, and they can ask questions on there and they can do a presentation, but have it for our whole municipality.
I saw something interesting the other day, again, in West St. Paul, they had their fire thing on, they had vehicles lined up down the road, and their fire station was open, they had like a date, and people were coming in, kids were coming in, their fire, yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about, we always do it, but.
Yeah. No, but I thought with COVID, yeah, exactly, why didn't we do it? And I remember we were talking about it there before, and we didn't do it strictly because I found it kind of weird that they were doing, But I guess they're trying to sell that West St. Paul so much.
St. Andrews had it too. They had for their community center, and they had their whole fire department out and everything also.
Yeah,
so things are starting to loosen up. People are trying to get back, but I don't know how, like you would just hate if something was created out of it, that it came back to your
And then how would you
event.
see if they were double backs? You know what I mean?
Well, you would have to have.
Well, they're
someone
outside,
ask
so
you.
you don't need it outside for
So you don't,
Well, and I guess the other thing is that I don't know what our East Selkirk Hall is planning. They usually have a pancake breakfast in October, isn't it? First couple of weeks in, not Thanksgiving weekend, I don't know if it's the third or fourth weekend in October, and that's usually a pretty good event, and they always,
It always is.
yeah, and they always, their money goes to the Burn Fund, so it's usually very well received with lots of people coming out. So I don't know, maybe they are planning to have something and we just haven't been made aware of it. Have you heard anything from Kevin yet, Deepak? Okay, if you are speaking with him, maybe just check with him if they're planning to have something this year. It's the same thing, they have all the fire trucks out and, you know, the.
Oh, no, I've been to them.
Yeah, so, and I think one of the good things that they have here is they usually try and get that trailer where they can generate the smoke and what you need to do, and they show the young people how to behave when you have a house.
They had old cars there,
Yeah.
and they had the jaws on there, and they were taking cars apart there,
Yeah.
at this one there,
Yeah.
showing them how all that works and everything.
Hello, Brenna, how are you today? Are you taking over for a few minutes?
Yes, she is.
Yeah. Go ahead, Scott.
Just additional to 9.4.1.
Okay,
So they've been sending me these notices, so I was done to council for information. But I actually emailed you all one today because it's election related. So I didn't think that next meeting would be old news.
too late.
But, I mean, it is gaining a little bit of interest in the election, so
Right.
that's good.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, and the other one I was gonna, did you want to say
I
something?
just want to address Councillor Stragg's comments.
Oh, okay.
So, very good comments, Councillor Strang. There is a new person who's been made in charge for the RCMP detachment in the area. And there's a meeting being scheduled for September the 23rd. And with the mayors and the CAO. And so what I'll do, I've taken note of this, and what we'll do is bring up the option, because our mayor has brought up this open house that we've had in the past, and to see if we can have some discussions with the RCMP about some of the issues of the community. Maybe a Zoom meeting might be an opportunity to see if they're interested with this new person in charge to address that. Because I think this ATV concern, I think our own residents, our farmers need to have some level of assurance that there's something being at least taken into consideration for this. We received quite a few letters about it.
I'm just thinking when we did have it down in the south,
Yes.
and then we had it scheduled for 3 different areas that they
Right.
were coming, and it was very well received, and a lot of the neighbors in the area spoke, and they were going like, darn, I missed it. And we told them they can come to the next one, like, follow to East Selkirk or drive up to Grand Marais area.
Yeah.
But then COVID came along and that crashed it all down.
Yeah.
But I think us showing the effort and the support of our residents, because we can't look after, and at that meeting, a good thing was discussed of what RCMP look after, what does the municipality, what does bylaw look after, because everybody's just looking and pointing at us all the time too, so.
I think that's good, but I think I don't know if you get as much reaction on Zoom to zoom into it. But I think maybe out of that, maybe we could have something on our webpage or something. These are things that the municipality is responsible for. These are things that the RCMP are responsible for. And then that way, you can always refer to our, to the RM things, I mean, going forward in this type of whatever.
Good point, Councillor, and we have updated our website. We're specifically related with ATVs.
Yeah.
And we've constantly been putting it into our reminders and our newsletters, but maybe there's some room for further improvement on that level of communication.
But everybody thinks we're responsible for all this stuff, it's like.
Yeah, and further to what Deepak was talking about the RCMP, and this just did come yesterday. It is from Inspector Duff, I guess, and or Superintendent Duff, he is moving on, and the gentleman that is coming to be in charge of Selkirk and area and Red River North and Grand Marais is Inspector Daryl Dawkins. So, and he's been here and they work together, but I guess pretty soon, John will be moving on and Daryl will be taking over. And that, like I say, that just came yesterday, so that's kind of like new news.
Yes.
New news. Okay.
The bad thing is though, you phone the RCMP and you tell them about this stuff and they don't come half the time.
Well, but that's probably some of the reason why we're getting calls. right?
Yeah.
So if there's not a response, let's say, they go to the next.
I mean, I'm sure they have bigger things or whatever, or a lot of them just,
Well, and sometimes I think too, depending on where it's happening, we know that the RCMP have fairly big areas. You know, it's not just our municipality, it's an area that they have, and maybe there's something more, I guess, earth-shattering, or I don't want to say important, but more along the lines of what they do in another municipality. It could be West St. Paul, it could be St. Andrews, and, you know, we can't expect them to go to Gull Lake because there's ATVs running around, so. Go ahead, Glenn.
Another way they work is, they pays off, they'll shut down the attachment pretty much. And so Selkirk will cover all of East St. Paul area and vice versa. So you don't always have them there.
Go ahead,
I
David.
know one thing that's kind of positive in Grand Marais, there's an RCMP who's staying, well, he's not stationed, but he's living out there now, and the whole area is just pumped about it. They're really excited that there's somebody there again or whatever, you know, so that's good news for them in that part of at that beach area. There's
Yeah.
really, a lot of people are commenting on it.
Well, the presence,
Yeah.
you know, so. Okay, there was one other one that I wanted to comment on, and Brenna just walked in here at the right time, because I was gonna go to 9.4.2, and that's the South St. Clements Center with the fitness circuit, and I believe that there's the reader boards, I guess I wanna call them, for the fitness circus that we have gotten done here. Those are ready to be placed, or are we still working on them, Brenna?
No, they're done, they just need to be picked up and then installed.
Okay, so kind of interesting, you know, they're going to be there, and I think after last night's presentation that we're going to talk about a little bit later, there'll be probably a little bit more buzz about our South St. Clements, so interesting. Anything else for the communications for info that anybody else wanted to touch on? Okay, so now we'll go into committee reports or council reports. So I'm going to start with Councillor Spicer today.
A very extensive report again.
I think they're all like that these days, I don't know.
August 26th, the AMM Eastern District Charity Event. September the 2nd, the ARM Charity Event. And then September the 9th, we had our regular meeting of Gaynor Regional Library. Basically, the library is still open, masks are required. All of their staff is double vaccinated. There will be a notice coming, feedback of an event for October the 4th. And it's the Legacy of Love, and that's the murals. Now, it's been called something else, and I'm not going to try and say it because I will just, it won't be good. But our circulation is, we put up a new display just for new books. So if people are interested in just the new books that are coming out, it's all in one area. The circulation is still a bit down. And of course, one of the challenges that creates is there's less room in the library. Because the books are in the library, so we still have better circulation than most libraries in the province. They have started to run some kids programs, and they seem to be working out good. They're restarting the seniors program, but there will not be transportation provided because there's not room in the budget for that.
Yeah, because the library used to pay for that transportation, right? It wasn't up to
Yeah.
the individual using the service.
Yep. The cafe is up for sale, it hasn't been open for
Oh,
a long time.
so you're looking for somebody else to go in there?
Yeah. And budget-wise, of course, we're not meeting our revenue targets because of the COVID situation. The one good thing that helped is our Prime Minister called an election, so there's some room rentals. I'm still working on a collective agreement for the staff. Strat plan's been tabled again because of COVID situation. There's some preliminary budget discussions, which we'll talk a little more about in camera. Due to COVID, there will be no Christmas events for the board or the staff. We're staying on the second Thursday of the month for meeting dates. We're still looking at some fundraising options. That's about it for my report. If there's any questions, I'll try and answer.
Well, I have one, and then you probably don't need to answer it, because I probably know the answer. You talked about not having anything for Christmas, so there's not gonna be anything for the kids at Halloween either then.
You know why we didn't even talk about it,
Okay.
but I'm guessing the answer will be no.
Because I know when I was on the board, they used to have the Halloween event, and there
Yeah.
was like tons of children that would come through there of all ages, so. But those are the days we're living in these days, so go ahead, Glenn.
You mentioned fundraisers. One of the major fundraisers used to be the trip.
Yeah, it's, we're not looking at this for this year for sure. We'll see what goes on next year.
Who is the chair now?
David Little
Okay,
from St. Andrews.
yeah. Okay. No other questions for Councillor Spicer? I'm gonna move on to Councillor Bazarowicz.
August 24th, regular council and planning. August 26th, Eastern District from Granite Hills. September 2nd, the ARM. And September 9th, the Bob Jefferson charity event in Selkirk.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Horvis.
The only thing I've been doing is playing golf. I run the MGA Tour, Municipal Golf Association, not the PGA, 2 golf games, and that's about it.
Well, the golf games are usually for a good cause, because they're usually charity events, and the money raised goes to always good causes, so.
The NGA.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Councillor Sutherland.
September 9th, MAR meeting, Zoom meeting, actually. Not too much there, except we've got a $50,000 operating grant, province $10,000 less than last year. And again, we had some discussion about the forum as to whether it should go ahead, and we are going to go ahead with it, but I said before, that could change. And if it does change, we'll have 5 webinars. But we're not sure. But for right now, yes, it is going ahead. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Go ahead, Councillor Strang.
I only have one item, and that was August 25th, and that was regular planning. We had a special hearing for a subdivision in West St. Paul, and the hearing lasted for 5.5 hours.
Wow.
I heard about it.
Yes, thank you for that. Now I won't have to comment on that, because that was gonna be my comment. We started at 5:30 and we finished, I believe,
Might have been longer than that.
11:30. Yeah. Yeah, so.
And people weren't given enough time to talk. 5.5 hours, come on.
I thought there was a bylaw that didn't allow it to go late.
We had to, they had to.
We have to extend the time, but on the extension, there is no time limit, like it can't be just extended, you know, like our bylaw says that you can go for another hour or half hour, whatever it is. There, it's just like if you extend it, you can go all night if you want, so, yeah, so anyways, thank you for that.
No question.
Go ahead.
How long do the meetings normally last?
Well, a regular planning meeting, because it's been kind of quiet lately, they start at 5:30 and usually by 7:30 we're
Couple
done.
hours, okay. So
Yeah. What precipitated this? It was an appeal hearing for a rezoning and a subdivision in West St. Paul, and the community was not happy with what was proposed by the developer. So West St. Paul passed it, the Red River Planning passed it, and the residents appealed it, and there were enough residents that appealed it that they had to have a public special hearing on it. An appeal hearing is what they
More
called
than
it.
50% of the,
Yeah, yeah.
I hear it's still going through, though, right?
It's gone through. They passed the rezoning, and like, this meeting was on the 25th, whatever day of the week that was. I think it was a Tuesday, and Wednesday, and they passed it the next week, and they passed the rezoning and the subdivision at the same meeting.
There was benefits, some benefits.
Yes, yeah, so,
Okay, thank you.
Because that's what that fellow, Dolphin was talking about.
yes. He's one of the developers there for that project, so. Okay, August 24th, planning, we were here for our regular meeting, and as Councillor Strang said, on the 25th, we had the RPD special meeting, and it was an appeal hearing for that development in West St. Paul. September the 2nd, I had the ARM event. September the 3rd, I had a very brief meeting regarding finances for WMR, John Q, and the South Basin Mayors and Reeves. I guess what we did, myself and one of the other board members went over all the financials, because we have 2 meetings coming up next week, one for WMR and one, actually John Q is tomorrow morning. So myself and one of the other board members went over all the finances with the auditor and our financial statements. So September the 8th, this one is a little bit different, because September the 8th I attended a Zoom COVID-19 info session. It was rather odd, because I got the invitation about 10 after 11 in the morning, and the event was at 11:30, and I just took it for granted that, you know, somebody from the office would be on the call. Nobody was, so I ended up on the call, and when I mentioned it to Deepak the next day, he went, what? Like, you know, like what was going on. But those in attendance were, well, I guess it was Ben Lyle that was the kind of moderator. Bruce Gray was there. Dr. Jazz Atwell and Jeff Natchik were the ones that were there. And I guess they went over some of the new regulations, like I just made a few things. Face masks in all indoor spaces are now required. Proof of full vaccination for certain events. And they're supposed to be sending out some posters that we can use, but I don't know that we've gotten anything yet that we can put up. It appears now that most of the COVID cases that are happening are among the unvaccinated, and if you look at the statistics, that's kind of what it says on a daily basis. We all must comply to the health order. And wherever we go, we should have our QR code or a vaccination card or letter. Oh yes, this was a question that was asked by an elected official in a different municipality. They're having a lot of trouble because they have some businesses and restaurants. that are having trouble keeping staff, because I guess what is happening is they're supposed to be asking if you're double vaccinated in a restaurant and things like that, and people are giving the staff a hard time about questioning them. Now, I guess some of the employees feel that it's not, because I guess, back up a step, it's mostly younger people that are going to school, so we're looking at like 17 to 19-year-olds, and employers are kind of depending on them to question people as they're coming in, and of course they're getting a really hard time, and you know, they get yelled at once or twice or 3 times, and then they say like, I'm done, and they quit their job. So the question was, is the province going to be doing anything to try and enforce that rule for some of the businesses, because there's too many businesses losing their employees over it. The question wasn't answered, and they were supposed to send out kind of a question or FAQ sheet, and I haven't seen that yet either. I got a thank you for participating, but that was about it, so.
Ours are having a real hard time because they're dealing with a different breed.
Say that again?
The bars are having a really hard time because they're dealing with a different element of the people.
Drunks.
Yeah.
Okay, and they did say that if we're having like an in-person meeting here, we can require visitors in the council chambers to be vaccinated. Like, we can let anybody in, but we can require them to be double vaxxed if we so wish.
That's good to know, but we can't have it at that meeting.
And then they talked about kids going to sporting events or hockey or soccer or whatever. And I guess there's a bit of trouble there, because if I'm not vaccinated and my child wants to play soccer, let's say, I can't go in with them.
They can't go in at all unless you are vaccinated, you have to bring them. That's the rule.
No, the kids can go in. That's not the way it was, that's not the way it was explained. Brenda, did you hear anything on that one? Because what I have in here is no exemption for unvaccinated parents at sporting facilities.
Yeah, the kids just have to go in with a vaccinated adult.
But if there's no vaccinated adult,
Yeah, so then you have to ask Joe Blow out walking in to take your kid
You
in.
have to have somebody.
yeah, you have to have somebody, but they have to be vaccinated. No unvaccinated adult can go into a sporting facility, is the way I took it.
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead.
If your child wants to go to a movie
You have to be vaccinated.
and they're not vaccinated, but you have to take them because they must be with a vaccinated person.
Say that again.
If your child wants to go to a movie,
Right,
they can't go to the movie alone. They're not allowed in there.
right.
They must have a vaccinated adult with
Unless the child is vaccinated and they have their own card.
yeah, but they're not. It's not offered to children.
Well, 12 a month, you get a card?
Under
Not
12.
9.
Yeah. No, I know that.
So anyways, that was kind of that, and I haven't gotten any further information on that, and, you know, I was kind of surprised that nobody, like, that the RM didn't get that invitation, and it was kind of like, I got it, and I was at home, so I thought, well, I'll sit in and see, and it wasn't even really it was a Zoom, but they gave the presentation, and then they opened it up for a Q&A, and you had to put your hand up and identify yourself, like, it was interesting, and I guess I wish that, you know, it would have been brought to the municipality rather than just I got it for whatever reason. Go ahead, Scott.
Just something interesting, when I was out in Saskatchewan, when they do their numbers, like, and of course their numbers are quite a bit higher than ours, but they actually tell the percentage of people who are unvaccinated that got COVID that day, the percentage of people who were one shot, and then the people who were fully vaccinated that still got it. And it was about 10%.
Yeah, fully vaccinated people can still get it, and,
Yeah.
and some of them are, from what I've heard, and I've had a couple of people, know a couple of people who have had friends that got it, is you're like, it's like a bad flu, like one gal was in bed for about 5 days and just couldn't muster up enough energy to do anything, and, you know, and she was
But-
double vaxxed.
But you're not gonna end up in the hospital.
No,
and
no.
That's still the benefit.
Right,
Some people are though, ending,
yeah,
going to
Yeah.
hospital, double laps.
yeah, yeah.
But that's, you're right, that is, Manitoba doesn't do
Like,
that.
we
They
don't
just,
see that here unless I'm missing it.
no, you're right, when they do it every day,
It's
they
kinda
just say
different.
a few. They don't say.
They did say numbers.
Yeah.
9, the last time I saw the news was 9 out of 10 that were in ICU were unvaccinated.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Or not fully vaccinated.
We're not fully vaccinated.
Or both shots.
Or they haven't done that 14 days yet, or only 8 or 9 days into the vaccination.
And this morning, they had 449 cases in Saskatchewan. That's the highest number for a single day they've ever had since it started.
well, see, in yesterday's bulletin for Manitoba, there were 41 new cases. Of these, 32 are in individuals who are not fully vaccinated. This includes, and then it goes through all the health districts. In our health district, it was 1 new case, not fully vaccinated. And it goes on to say, 21 new cases with 17 not fully vaccinated in the Southern Health, 12 new cases with 9 not fully vaccinated in Winnipeg, and the other two with 1 not fully vaccinated and 5 with 4 not fully vaccinated in Prairie Mountain. So,
So
I
they
mean,
kind of do.
they kind of do, but it doesn't stipulate between the 1 vax and 2 vax. It's just vaccinated or not vaccinated, so. But that doesn't come out every day now either. You know, for a while there, it was coming out every day. Now I think it's just Monday, Wednesday, Friday or something like that, so. Anyways, that's enough on the COVID-19 session. September 9th, Bob Jefferson fundraiser. I volunteered there. I was there for a couple of hours. They had a really good turnout, I thought. I'm not sure how it worked for your meal tickets and things like that, because that was all a little different this year too, so. And then last night, I did a presentation for the Rotary Club in Selkirk, and I have to, in front of everybody, thank Deepak for all the help that he gave me yesterday, trying to put everything together at the last minute. I kind of did the script part of it, and Deepak put some slides together and some pictures, so it turned out really good, and I think we showed off our municipality and all the good things that we're doing in our municipality, and I got a very nice thank you this morning from the Rotary Club for the presentation that we did last night, so. Go ahead, Sandra.
I'm just gonna say excellent, that's very nice to hear, because they were one of the other places that were going to give monies for our South End, but
They are still very interested, I will tell you that, and it did come up last night. I mean, we'll
They were
just
gonna
talk
do a
about it
dinner
a little bit
for us.
later, and yeah, because, yeah,
Excellent.
we'll talk about it a little
I
bit.
sort of
later.
thought it fell off the table because with
No.
COVID, but they were gonna do one of their lobster dinners when we've been in contact with them, that.
Yeah, so.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah, so, yeah, and I did kind of do quite a blurb on the South State Compliance Activity Center, and of course Deepak had all the pictures, and, you know, we talked about
We
the,
have time, maybe you could go through it for council.
well, we could do it,
That
maybe.
would be nice.
You want me to read all that again?
You've had practice.
I'm gonna put that kind of effort in, I want her to do it twice.
just wants to get back to you.
I know. Well, I'm not sure.
It was a very good presentation.
it was a
Madam
very-
Mayor wrote most of it.
Actually, I did bring it, just in case. I think all the slides are at the back here, and all my verbiage is here too. So yes, it turned out really good. I was kind of surprised because there was only 16 attendees, and I thought the Rotary Club in Selkirk was a little bit bigger than that, but maybe things are busy, people are busy, and maybe some people just don't like doing Zoom, because it was on Zoom, so, and that's all I have. Go ahead, Deepak.
So I have several items for in camera, but I'll cover the items that are outside of camera. Start off first is that we've received the latest agreement from Hydro for use of our fire services as a support for their, as their plant is being slowly decommissioned. And so I'll be agreeing to sign it in the next little while, so just as a heads up. We had already discussed this in the past with council to continue and proceed with signing an agreement where they would pay us for our fire response to, in case of any kind of fire that happened there. And then do some, also some practice runs in the facility. The other is we did buy a new piece of equipment that will be coming forward for the next council meeting. It's called an owl, and it'll be sitting in the center of this circle, and it should show and do a 360 view as well as catch everybody's on microphone. Very good, that's
Owl.
What's that worth?
few $100.
Yeah, they're not that expensive.
Not overly expensive, cheaper than a solution that was proposed, which is being used at Red River, but our room didn't accommodate that well.
So I have a question on that then, like I know that this is not our normal setup in here, so once we reconfigure how we're gonna be sitting, will that still be?
It will still work because it does a full 360 or any.
Oh, okay, so it can do like a pan,
Yes.
okay, good, good.
And so it also catches, so when you have a circle like this, if there's one person speaking, it focuses on them. So you'll see that in some of the meetings where you kind of get every person showing up even though they're sitting in a circle. And then the person speaking automatically shows up. So it kind of catches. So it'll be something, we're going to try to test it out, and we'll try it out for the next meeting, which will be our council meeting, our planning meeting. The other is a meeting with Grand Marais businesses. September 23rd, Gary and I will be meeting with the businesses to go over their biz zone and discussions on some fundraising and things that they have underway as to how they can utilize the funds that we made available for the biz zones. So quite excited. They were quite excited about the meeting. They've set up a sort of a business group, and there will be several people attending there on that meeting. And I'll inform you after the meeting with how that transpired. The other is September 30th, as Madam Mayor mentioned. It is a federally regulated holiday. As part of a federally regulated holiday, our union contract is very specific. All federal statutory holidays are to be recognized. So September 30th, we will be closed as similar to a statutory holiday. I've confirmed this with the union, verifying what our agreement stated, as well as we will be sending out notices to our own staff through a letter of the next paycheck, letting them know. They've been told verbally and through several different levels, as well as we'll be putting posters up in our entryways identifying September 30th. The offices will be closed. So,
Are you gonna do a website too?
yes, we'll update the website as well, our social media. And in recognition of Truth and Reconciliation Day, and this will be now consistently an extra holiday. It's a statutory holiday from now on, starting this year. The other is
Before you move off that, I guess September 30th, I've known it in the last few years to be Orange Shirt Day. Have you heard anything if they're gonna make another day to be Orange Shirt Day, or is it all gonna be part and parcel
I
of?
think it's, at this point, it's all part and parcel of the same day they are. It's still Orange Shirt Day, as well as Truth and Reconciliation Day. So I think Orange Shirt is just an add-on, or depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
The other is, I've been given notice to begin our union negotiations. And so they are, so we will be, so I'm bringing this up for your attention. And what I will be is for the next council meeting, seeking any specific items council would like me to bring forward as part of our negotiations with you. And so we can talk further about that, and we definitely will talk about it at the next council in camera.
Did they set a date already, or just that they're?
They said they'd like to begin sometime in October. I
Yeah,
think.
that's fine. Okay.
But that's, you know, they've thrown out some opportunities, and then we'll do some, I'll be meeting with our management team as well to identify some of the issues.
Okay.
And beyond that, I have Tyler coming in at 1:30 to the discussions that Councillor Strag has brought up. And that's it for me.
Okay, thank you for that. And I know, Brenna, you're not normally here, but do you have anything that you would like to share with council about some of your big project that you're working on?
Oh, I'm getting put on the spot.
I just thought you might want to share something with us.
Yeah, well, the playground's fully installed. It's, looks better than I even anticipated it being, so that's always a bonus. Trevor from Public Works is renting a post auger, so that's when the signs will be installed. So the fitness circuit signs and the heritage signs will be installed at the same time. And I'm meeting with Bob Summers tomorrow, as well as Tricor for a site meeting, and we'll finalize the location of all that, so that's good. Benches and tables will be installed soon as well. And fingers crossed, we're almost finished Legacy Park project.
Oh, right on.
So
Awesome.
that's been keeping me busy, but it's nice. I was saying when the playground was installed, it's nice actually seeing a physical component of everything I've been doing, because it's kind of hard when there's no, like,
Nothing there.
yeah, so it's like, okay, so I can, now I can show what I've been working on. So, yeah, so it's nice to see it there.
Thanks for bringing those things up, Brenna, because that reminded me, I've got two things that I should update council on. One is in relation to some of Brenna's work. I've also asked her to take a lead on some of the trails work that we're going to be working on. So she's becoming a main contact with our Trails Association, and we'll begin to do some of the work there. But I've also asked her, as soon as I get some further dialogue with St. Andrews, that to get going on our sidewalk for Lockport, because over this fall, it's very important for us to have the design ready and complete so that we can implement it before the bridge is complete, or at the same time as the bridge is complete. So
Which side is it going on?
it's going to go on the north side of 44, and the big issue still is the crossing at from Henderson on 44 from the south side onto the north side, and that's dependent on the design that the province will come back with on the intersection of 44 and Henderson, which is also presently underway. So I'm anticipating 2022 is going to be a very significant year for that particular section. And one of the other things that I'd like to explore as part of this is the other day I was driving down there and I noticed that they had put up signs for reduction of speed, which we've been talking about for quite a while with Manitoba Infrastructure for the bridge, and dropping that speed down to 70 just before getting onto the bridge is a much better option. And now that it's been done, I think this is a good opportunity to begin that level of dialogue again with Manitoba Infrastructure, saying, why don't we leave that to go down from 90 to 70 and then down to 50? Like going from 90 or going over the bridge to drop down to 50 was just...
Yeah, you're already in the intersection.
Exactly.
Okay, go ahead, Sandra.
Just adding to that, there where our industrial park is, like, there's trucks there that have heavy loads and they're having to come to a stop to turn in, and it's 100 there. Like, that's totally, even 80 along that whole stretch, once after they come from the overpass there, 80 along, because we have how many residential roads there too that people are turning in on.
Yes.
But just our industrial park there, I've seen how many times an accident or people head right into the ditch. They aren't well, first of all, they aren't paying attention, but just the speed there and, you know.
That was one of the
Well,
first letters I wrote
I was
to
gonna
the mayor.
say,
It's to Manitoba Infrastructure specifically addressing that. To date, we haven't had any kind of meaningful dialogue other than we had a discussion with the minister at one of the meetings. So what I'm just seeing is this is the thin edge of the wedge that we might be able to take advantage of. to,
Well, the
bring
challenge
that.
is the curve is right there too.
Yes.
yeah.
So make it like it's right after, which way you're going.
And the thing is, it's so busy there, people heading out to the lake, heading down Highway 44, whether they're gonna be turning up 59 or just going out that way to the White Shell area. That road is just a humming all the
Which
time.
one?
44,
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so. They're getting lots of traffic through there. I notice there's even times that you come out from Henderson Highway and I am turning north to come this direction, but you couldn't even get on to go to the bridge there because the traffic's all backed up to the bridge or past it, sitting on the bridge to get across. Like the Flegway Bridge it's sitting on to get across to
Yeah.
go in the Lockport.
Yeah, it's gonna be quite a challenge, I think, in that Henderson 44 and then to get over to the bridge at Lockport for a long time, because I know I got stuck in that boat trying to get into Gaffers one day. It's crazy, so. But anything else from anybody? Because I believe that
There was that, I said there were two items,
Sorry.
Madam Mayor. The second item is that Brenda brought up is the playground. So there was some dialogue around the councils, and I meant to bring this forward, is that there was the shade that council had authorized for additional spending. I've held off on it because the information I brought to council at that time was there was some concerns about what kind of material was put on the top of that shade. And I thought it was metal, but it is canvas. And so we haven't put the shade in and haven't ordered it. Now, that is the one that was the best option there. Brenda has talked to the supplier several times. They've only had one incident that they've ever had to replace that shade, and that was not due to wind, but somebody putting it on fire.
Yeah, and some of their cigarette butts burnt a hole.
So I guess the question is, are you comfortable with us spending the additional dollars going with a similar shade design, which will be canvas? Now the part that's covering the play structure is also of the same material. So it would match. Now, it's not the metal, and I think there were some discussions around the table, and I just wanted to make sure we had a discussion around it.
What was the cost on it?
About 12 grand.
12, yeah.
12,000?
Yeah. It's
Metal
fairly
post.
large and then you've got to put the metal posts in. Like that's installed.
Exactly.
12.
Metal posts, and you can put 3 or 4 2 or 3 benches under it, and picnic benches and stuff.
What's the difference between the metal to the canvas?
There isn't a metal option.
Oh, there isn't, okay.
We'd have to be looking for something else completely different, so.
You mean like treated posts in the ground and then just a roof?
That could be, but then it would look so much different than the current design. If I could, if you could just indulge me for a second, what I'll do is I'll bring up the picture of it.
It is a wild thing when you drive down the road there, all of a sudden you see the draft of the playground sitting out there now.
Yeah, I know, but one cigarette butt in there.
Well, that's why I'm asking what's the difference in the price, right? But
No.
No, it could be one cigarette, but remember the one thing that you have to remember on that.
So that's the play structure now?
That's the play structure looks like. These are, so the shade would be in the same kind of design and shape, so it kind of goes well with this look, as opposed to trying to bring in something that's so much radically different, and that was the big question. Now, if we do have problems, generally speaking, you don't normally get people smoking around play structures.
No.
And you kind of encourage no smoking. We could certainly put in some no smoking signs all around
But
that.
there'll be kids in there with bicycles in the evening and they'll be smoking and doing things.
That was in the past, I don't know, I think most of them are vaping now.
They're smoking other stuff now.
True, and that stuff does,
It
create
burns, too.
embers, yes,
It's-
Yeah.
it's-
yeah.
That's,
Many people have holes in their shirts from that stuff, yes.
Okay, anything else before we have our lunch break? Are we having lunch in, or where are we at with?
Lunch is being delivered,
Oh, okay, is it here though, or is it?
I'll double check.
That's it.
So you
Thanks,
need a
Brenda.
go ahead or not go ahead?
Yes. Are we comfortable going ahead? I think for the price, I think it's worthwhile to complete the structure for now, and then we can certainly look at it, you know, if there's some major issues. Then it's, the posts are there, and all we're looking at is creating a new roof design. And at that time, we could take a look at the whole plate structure of this.
I'm
Okay,
good.
so
to
go ahead.
Sure.
I'm getting nods.
I'm good.
Okay, thank you.
Lunch is here.
Okay.
Lunch is here, so
Okay, so it is 12:15, so we'll take our lunch break and we'll be back probably 1:15, 1:30.
okay, so Brenda, you want to stop it? Or pause it.
Please.
where do we put those on that list there?
We have covered most of the items, and when we come back, we'll